Okay, now let's talk about Rengi Alien, directed by Jang-won Yeon. This is a film from Korea about two illegal immigrants from China working in a factory in South Korea. After a dramatic turn of events, Hong Mei tries to ensure that her late compatriot Rong Gi receives a dignity in death that she deserves. Okay, so Kiara, what do you think?
Well, this is a very, very gentle film that obviously talks about a very important topic, that of illegal immigrants. So, of course, we're not talking about a science fiction with the reference to Alien. It's not Martians, but it's aliens to the law. People who do not have a recognized citizenship or immigration status within the country they are working in and living in. And this drama has a very linear story. I also like, in visual terms, this suggestive palette of cold colors that also gives and provides this sensation of emotionlessness from the country that has that is hosting and welcoming these two illegal immigrants, although welcoming is not the correct term. And obviously also the cinematography reflects the emotional state. I very much appreciated the way the director, Jae Gwang-yeon, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly, gave great dignity to the characters. And also, of course, the way the one who survives tries to give dignity in death to her friend. So I found it very humane and very emotional in those terms. What about you?
This kind of stories is really complicated for the short film genre. But even if it's complicated story for short films, the director did really good job in adopting such a tragedy to show the audience that sometimes you have no one closer than your co-worker, especially in this kind of cases. This is your family, and who's gonna care about you, about your body when you accidentally died? And it's really unexpected and expected on the same time, because they're basically from the same culture. And this is the situation when people get closer on the foreign land, because they basically has no one. That's what makes the story even deeper and even more interesting to watch in not only one time but two times, because visual part is wonderful, it's really beautiful. It's simple but deep, and there's a couple of different layers that you can think about. First, pay attention to the visual part, then you started to think, what does it mean when you have a friend in the foreign land? What does it mean to be a friend in the foreign land? Do you just co-workers? When you not just co-workers? What's the different stages of their relationship when you're not in your cultural context?
I think this is a very important topic that you bring up, of the sort of elective family you create. It's not the bloodline or the family you've grown up with, but the friends you choose along the way. And the both of us have lived abroad, obviously not as aliens or in these very difficult circumstances, but we know what it feels when you are away from your own family and you try to recreate a nucleus of people that you can rely upon. So this is also a very important message in those regards, and obviously bringing up this very important issue of illegal immigration and all the consequences and difficulties that these people have to encounter.
Yeah, that's right. And that's also it's a story not about only about death or illegal immigrants. It's also a story about friendship and the complication of friendship, because when you're in this kind of situation, in these conditions, you don't know who is a real friend to you. Because I had this talk with my friend during the filming of my documentary, and he told me the really sad idea when one day you realize that's the only reason you're together with these people is because you're in the foreign country and you have no one closer than them. Is it sad? Probably yes.
Yeah, so whether it's a matter of need that you get close to certain people, or whether it's a fact of affinities, of elective affinities, because you really feel you can share certain things with the people you are choosing. So that's also a very important topic you brought up. Thanks for that. Let's talk about Air Conditioner in Panmunjom, directed by Ta Hyun Lee. This is a film from Korea, set in a village on the border between North and South Korea, where a repairman must fix a broken air conditioner as temperatures and political tensions comically escalate. So Lana, I had the time of my life. It was so much fun to watch this film. I'll jump into telling you what I thoroughly enjoyed. So I found this was a delightful black comedy, almost with some elements of slapstick, because it's also very physical. And it's a fantastic political satire, don't you agree?
Definitely 100% amazing, beautiful, great political satire. I mean, it was thin, but great at the same time. You feel like what's they're talking about. And to be honest, I felt like I read the old comic books with the small character somewhere on the background of the newspaper or something. It's because it was that kind of old humor everyone missed right now. It's so good.
You're right. It was almost like a live action graphic novel. And you know what? The setting was impressive because this little town, the Panmunjom, I hope I'm pronouncing it properly, is where the armistice agreement actually occurred in 1953 to pose the war. And the building, I know, still stands. And I went on and Googled, and it looks identical. So I don't think they shot it there, but they recreated it majestically. So thumbs up, good job. It's like a sort of Gangnam Style to a very important political matter.
Even if it's a satire and it's humor, it sometimes looks so stupid as the Korean style crazy shows. This kind of humor and this the scene when they somewhere in the river or something.
Oh yeah,
fantasy one. It's such a simple moment to show that we are humans. We're all humans.
And we want to play and we want to get along and we just want to get it all out, get the tension out in a very cathartic way. So I also enjoyed that oniric moment. I love when cinema adds those magical touches to the storytelling.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, really good movie, and I think I'm gonna watch it even after our talk. I want to have the same emotions. It's it's so simple. It takes like 24 minutes, but it will make your day for 200%.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect film to watch after you've had an argument, either with a co-worker or a family member or a loved one. And it just puts a bit of order into everything. It's almost as if it's telling you it's going to be all right. There's nothing to get too angry about.
Yeah,
everything's going to be just fine.
Yeah, you're right. And it's so pacifist, about peace first of all. Even if it's in decorations between North and South Korea, it's about peace by the end. And we have MacGuffin of this huge old air conditioner that basically helps to bring people together, even if it's broken.
And the AC is definitely something we can all relate to. So, you know, that's a very universal trait d'union.
Okay, now let's talk about Douma Underground, directed by Tim Al-Ziofi. This is the documentary produced by Lebanon about how civilians sought shelter in the basement of their homes when barrel bombs were falling on Ghouta. The director was one of them and filmed what was going on with his camera. If you don't mind, I will start. That's actually one of the most difficult story I watched from this list. It took me some time to finish it. Not because it's bad. No, the movie is great. I like the way of their live directing. But it's really difficult when you realize that in one moment most of the people can be just dead, and you can do basically nothing about it. And this is their region of Earth where this is normal life. Bombing can happen when you don't expect it, and people living with it for a long time. Way how they put their post on the social network, do the stories, filming themselves. They have their jokes. Even the sense of humor is working in this situation. But for the audience, especially from the different contexts, not from Lebanon, for them it's like, it's so sad. You feel like you want to cry, but people are laughing there. Because for them it's probably the only way to feel a little bit better than they are. Yeah.
Yes, you struck a chord, because it definitely shows how human reactions can be the most unexpected in these very dramatic moments. I really liked how the film crosses the boundaries between live reporting and documentary, and at times also a little bit video art. And of course, when it comes to the topic that it unfolds, it makes you wonder why the media right now is reporting so little on what is going on in these places, on the crisis, on the attacks in these areas, such as Syria, Lebanon, and so on. So I thought it was a very important message also to tell the world that these things are still happening and are unspoken of. And I find it was such a lovely and delicate, intimate portrait of this dramatic situation. And it also sent positive messages along of solidarity, of this sense of being a community and trying to help each other and being resilient in times of emergency, and within, of course, a very dehumanizing context. So it's a little gem.
Yeah, but it's really sad.
It is. But that's the beauty of it. And obviously it keeps you thinking once you're done with viewing the film, which is the most important element that a movie leaves with you, that you keep thinking about it.
Yeah, you're right.
Let's talk about A Mind Sang, directed by Vier Neff. This is a film from Portugal that experiments with perspective and parallel storytelling, where each image is an illusion with two simultaneous meanings. So Lana, you begin, because I have lots to say, but I'm curious to know about your impressions first.
Okay, first of all, it's really beautiful animated film. I cannot imagine how difficult it is to make this kind of reverse images. For me, it's direct metaphor for every human that has in the same time male and female parts inside of us. So, and how it's changing through the life and how we feel about it. Yeah, this is what I saw. This is the story of the men and women inside of us. But what do you think?
I thought that it beautifully depicted the intricacy of the windmills of our minds, how our mind works in various and mysterious ways. And of course, I found very spellbinding the allegory of this visual journey of the woman that is experiencing the moments before childbirth. So we have the child's perspective, the mother's perspective, the potential similarities between these two humans, between the child and the woman. And I found so enthralling and spellbinding the puzzle reversible images. It brought to my mind the way other people have played around with images that can be interpreted in two ways. For instance, I think of my life and my wife and my mother-in-law, where you can see both a young woman and an old woman. Or I also thought about Freud's "What's on a man's mind," or the two faces of a vase. So there are lots of images that play with this duality of perspectives. And of course, it's an ode to life and all its multiple interpretations. So I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's really good one, and especially for the people who like the violet color, I think this movie gonna go direct to their heart. Okay, now let's talk about Sword, directed by Tommy Gerardets. This is a film from the Netherlands that shows how Ronnie, by giving up too much personal information during verification questions on his computer, receives a fully customized invitation from his OS that takes over his computer and devices. Okay, so let me start, please. Let me start. First of all, this is really related to what's going on right now in the world about the personal information problem and the data thing and so on, and how close we are with our phones and laptop, and we just can't control it. And this is basically the idea what we already have, and it's creepy. At the same time, it's interesting because you want to know what's gonna be next, and it works with the basic idea of sex and sexual desire, that you want to go deeper, you want to go far away behind any boundaries and know what's going on, but it's not always healthy and responsible and not always safe as you can think.
Yes, well, definitely it's a very Orwellian story, this idea of this telematic internet big brother controlling us and having all of our information, as you just said. And definitely it's a very disquieting science fiction. It shows how in the digital era that we are now living in and experiencing, there is no such thing as privacy whatsoever. There is no such thing that we can share online that doesn't belong to the world or belong to something other than ourselves. And this obviously involves dynamics of power, that we lose the power and control over our lives, and this other sort of being, society, or the online master of it all, gains power over us. Also, there is that element of sex, which you very brilliantly underlined, that I find that in cinematic terms is always a message about who holds the power. So I thought that our director, Tommy Gerardets, very well coalesced these two elements in telling his story.
Yeah, and that's good that you reminds me about the idea of the power, because the idea of privacy with help of the internet, it changed, right? Then we have the idea of power that also changed. Now basically power as acting in the same, now basically, sorry, not power, but internet, acting in the same way as that girl. Internet is really active. He is kind of pushing you to provide the data, and he's in the power right now. And personalize it, saying that it's he. The internet now, it's not it's he. It has the the gender, I think. So it's totally different than it was 20 years ago. Now the internet and all the data that we spend every second and we provide in every second online, it's the opposite thing of the privacy.
Yeah, it's almost this supervisor that checks on everything, even when it's unwanted. And just as it is embodied by this female character in the film who keeps popping up on all the devices, we share the same experience on our day-to-day experiences. I know that perhaps if I Google a book on the internet or something I want to buy, after a few more minutes on Facebook, I see adverts coming up on that specific product I was researching. So it's pretty troubling, but this is our reality right now. And once again, this film brilliantly shows this.
Yeah, this girl, the main character, she also reminds us that we don't have the privacy, and we also don't have the sexual privacy as well. Because basically, if you, for example, want to watch porn, all of the internet triggered advertisement will know about it, and then will try to sell something more to you, some sex toys and so on. So it's almost impossible to have your privacy back. And she reminds it.
True. So I guess one of the messages of this film is don't watch porn. Or you'll get caught and the entire world will know. No, but of course it tells lots more. But yes, very brilliant and ironic critique to our time. Let's talk about Liliana, directed by Milanka Fabiancic. This is an animation from Slovenia about a young girl working in a factory who produces small and curious objects with her fellow female workers. Every night, before going to sleep, she takes a mysterious glowing object from her chest, and one evening we will discover the driving force of her everyday life and a secret buried deep in her heart. So Lana, this is such a sweet and delicate cinematic gem. You go first.
First of all, it really reminds me of my childhood, because when I was a kid, the old Soviet cartoons were still on TV, and I watched lots of them, and the style is the same. And I love the music, and her eyes is so beautiful and big, and it's like it's about such a simple thing, how you try to enjoy your life with help of small details, with a cup of tea, with your favorite ice cream, with the small talk, with the favorite song. So with something that helps you to go through the everyday routine. It's so beautiful. It's melting my heart. I'm just like going under here. It's so...
Yes, no, I totally agree also on what you said in terms of the technique. I am ever so fond of 2D animation and the old drawings done by hand, which is a technique that is somehow dying out. And I really wish, and I'm grateful to animators such as Milanka, who are bringing it back in fashion, because I find it the most poetic form of animation. And it's perfect for the story that it's trying to deliver. And I must say, as an Italian, I very much appreciated the initial reference to Sandro Botticelli's Birth of the Venus. So I liked that nod to that kind of Renaissance art. And it's just great mastery and elegance within this short.
Yeah, that's right. And when you watched a couple of times, you started to notice in some details. It's the same as the picture of Botticelli. You just enjoy every time watching it, and you see how different it is, and it's still really, really, really beautiful, like a really beautiful song in this short animation.
It leaves you a sense of well-being.
Yeah, somewhere deep in your heart. Yeah.